From the University of Maryland's Robert H. Smith School of Business, this is the Smith Report, Summer Edition. I'm Carrie Handworker from the Office of Marketing Communications. Each week this summer, we're catching up with a Maryland Smith MBA student working as an intern. This week, we spoke with Audrina Chang. She's in the Leadership Development Program at Johnson & Johnson's Janssen Pharmaceutical Division. Thanks for joining us today, Audrina. I'm excited to hear about your internship. Tell us what you're doing this summer.
Sure. So this summer, I'm currently working under Janssen, the pharmaceutical division of Johnson & Johnson. And my summer project supports the competitive messaging for a particular oncology brand called Imbruvica.
So Audrina, what's the end goal? What do you have a final project that you're working on, or what's your main role there this summer?
As a summer intern, the deliverable for the duration of our summer is a final presentation to the governance committee, and it's typically done in a 10-minute format with question and answers afterwards. The business question that I'm seeking to solve is whether the brand that I'm working on should produce a customer-facing marketing asset when this piece has traditionally been done internal facing for training purposes only. And as a highly regulated industry, many of the marketing decisions are driven by the regulatory and legal guardrails. So that's something that I'll be exploring and presenting recommendations for at the end of the summer.
Now, do you have a background in the medical field or pharmaceuticals? I would imagine it might take a bit to get up to speed in that area.
That's a really good question. So what's great about Janssen has been that they're really open to not just career switchers, but anyone with a passion for contributing their transferable skills to the competitive environment within pharmaceuticals. So I personally do have healthcare experience. However, that's not to say that it was directly within pharmaceuticals. I spent over 5 years in New York City working at a mid-sized healthcare payer, and that experience transferred really well. That being said, there was definitely a slight learning curve to learn the kind of business practices and particular nuances of a pharmaceutical company.
Have you been able to get a good sense of the culture at Johnson & Johnson when you're actually not there in person? And if so, what's your take on the culture?
Throughout kind of like the history of the company and through the various challenges the company has faced, a lot of the bottom line has to do with how we impact people. And that's something that was a very smooth transition between the Maryland Smith program and Johnson & Johnson. So I would absolutely recommend the culture. It's translated well through the online environment. The leadership team definitely takes the time to invest in talent development and invest in the future pipeline for the company.
And what have you been doing to really stand out, even remotely? How are you getting that virtual FaceTime with your managers and your colleagues?
That's a great question. For me personally, one of the things that I've done to make sure that I continue to learn and grow within this new environment is to try to replicate some of the meetings and opportunities that I would have had face to face. So granted, lunch and learns will no longer have banquet style lunches and things of that nature. Networking with some of the happy hours will no longer be in the same format as they used to be. However, there are still plenty of opportunities to reach out. And I think a really well-kept secret is that since everyone's home, it's almost leveled the playing field a little bit, cut down on commute times, and allowed for people to be more accessible because they're no longer physically walking between meeting rooms. For better or for worse, there's almost more time available to connect with others when you're just a quick web conference away.
What about the other interns and colleagues there at J&J? Is anyone from Smith? Any familiar faces?
While my cohort, specifically of 7 interns this summer, are not from Maryland, except for me, I will say that there are definitely senior leaders that I've met with and spoken with that are Smith alumni. And I'm so excited that the Smith network expands not only within the DMV area, but at large companies throughout the world.
And what would be your advice to the incoming class of first year students on getting that internship, and maybe how do you think they should go about it or think about it differently this year given the current situation?
If I could break it down to kind of like 3 broad categories, I would say, be humble, be hungry, and continue learning. So with the be humble point, I applied to probably over 100 internship opportunities, and my success rate was less than 50%. So I really did put in the work that was needed to tailor each of my cover letters and make sure that my resume spoke to each position that I applied for. My second point about being hungry kind of ties in with the first point of being humble, but beyond being humble, being hungry for opportunity. The opportunities that I found sometimes were not in the traditional recruiting pipeline. Some of the opportunities were word of mouth referrals from people that were in my professional network or people that were within the professional network of the Smith faculty and staff. So being open-minded and being hungry for opportunity where it presents itself is something that has opened a lot of doors and afforded me the ability to, have that freedom of choice on where I wanted to, create my career path. And finally, the last point that I want to make is continue learning. So, Smith has done such a great job encouraging us and supporting us and letting us know that they're there as a resource for us as lifelong learners.
Have you been able to keep in touch with any of your classmates or the other interns in the program outside of traditional work, I guess?
One of the great things about the Maryland Smith MBA is that the cohorts are extremely close and everyone's really supportive on an individual basis. So throughout our various social media platforms, we stay connected and pretty much if there's a career opportunity, if there's a geographic region that people are interested in, there's somebody within our network of the first years or second years, or even within our alumni that have done it before us. So definitely a cohesive group, and everyone's open to contributing back.
Great. Well, it sounds like you're having a great work experience and really getting to know the culture at J&J. So thank you for talking with us today, Audrina. I've enjoyed hearing about it.
Thank you for having me. It's been a wonderful experience so far at J&J, but I also am so excited to be returning to Maryland Smith this fall for my second year.
That's our conversation with Maryland Smith MBA student Audrina Chang, who's interning this summer with Johnson & Johnson in their pharmaceutical division. Thanks to Audrina for sharing her time with us, and thanks to you for tuning in. From the University of Maryland's Robert H. Smith School of Business, I'm Carrie Handworker in the Office of Marketing Communications.